welcome to my podcast, Spiritual Quest, with me, your host, Jannecke Øinæs, always guided by Spirit. I am very excited to share my gift with you and empower you to embrace your gift. So if you define yourself as a spiritual human being, then you've come to the right place. So prepare yourself now for an amazing journey where your soul will lead the way. Welcome to Spiritual Quest, always guided by Spirit. I'm your host, Jannecke Øinæs, and I want to start today's episode by asking you a question. Do you feel a bit lost in your search for purpose, or what makes your heart sing? Well, my guests know firsthand how challenging life can be when you're out of alignment with what your soul is calling on you to do. Growing up, she had a dream of becoming a musical theater artist, and as a child actor, with the voice of an angel, she played in some of the world's most famous musicals, Les Misérables, Annie, and The Wizard of Oz. Her dream was becoming a reality, but then she lost her voice and her dream was shattered. I'm happy to say that today she gives of her heart and soul to help others step into their empowered self and to help them navigate the awakening process, which can be a challenge if you ask me. She's the founder of Wisdom from North, the Nordic platform for spiritual knowledge and personal development. Their vision is to expand people's consciousness, waking people up to their inner power by bridging new science and ancient spiritual wisdom through the best thought leaders of today. I admire Jannecke for her courage, strength, and commitment to her spiritual journey, and I'm excited to introduce Jannecke Øinæs and have her share her amazing story of how she completely transformed and reinvented her life. So, a warm welcome to Jannecke Øinæs.
Hi, Vibeke. It's such an honor to be here. And oh my goodness, what an introduction. You've done your research. Thank you so much.
Thank you for wanting to be part of a spiritual quest and sharing your transformative story. I mean, I know you for quite a bit now. I've followed you since you were a child because I was also interested in musical theater. And so I knew about you and I've seen you on TV, but then I was so blessed to be able to meet you on, I guess it was on what do you call it, exhibition or a fair for spiritual enlightenment, Body, Mind, Spirit Festival, wasn't it? I think it was called that.
Yeah.
And I heard your story and how you reinvented your life. I was blown away. And I thought, I need to dive more into your story, and to be able to share that with my audience is beautiful. So would you enlighten us, Jannecke? Would you share your story and inspire us?
Yeah, of course. To me, I feel like other people have had really dark stories, and what a big transformation. And often we don't see really our own stories until we start to really own it. And I think the latest years I really started owning my story and becoming more compassionate towards myself and seeing that, okay, so I didn't lose a parent or a child or something devastating like that, but I've been in a deep, deep depression. And that is also a darkness that is very heavy. And I remember I interviewed Teal Swan, and she said we should never compare our dramas, because our dramas are just as severe for all of us, for the individual person. And that actually helped me to see that, okay, so I'm allowed to look at my story and feel that, wow, it was quite difficult. And I think I'm saying that because we all have stories, and even though they're different, it is okay to feel that something has been really, really difficult. It's okay to honor your own drama and have compassion towards what we have experienced. And I think that's actually self-love, because I used to think that, well, since I had these great roles, I wasn't allowed to feel sorry for myself. I wasn't allowed to feel that, oh, this has been hurtful, because I received so much in life. So later, I've understood a greater picture and another perspective. So we all have traumas, we all have dramas, and they're just as important. So, what happened to me was that ever since I was 7 years old, I got so much. I received so much attention, so many roles in musical theater in Norway that were quite big parts. And I got applause wherever I went. And at that time, we didn't have much social media and stuff like that. So, there was a lot of focus on me as a child star, and I had, blonde hair, and I was like, I couldn't speak properly, so I guess I was kind of cute and all that. So I was a child star, and I think it was hard for me to really be in all these different worlds, like being in the theater world, working with adults, having a responsibility of being on stage every night singing and really performing and being good, and then being a friend at school and playing and being a child with that responsibility back in my mind that, oh, I'm going to perform tonight. And I also always got the premiere night. Even though I was sharing the part with others, it was always me that got the premiere night and was the most, complimented and all that. And I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that because that put a lot of pressure on me. And I put it on myself that, oh my goodness, I need to be best at all times. And maybe you're already now understanding what is coming, because when you're, as a child, focused on performing, 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 that becomes your life. But who was I without the performance? I had no idea. So after Annie, like being 11 years old, having a huge success, I went around with that red hair, on the street, like they actually dyed our hair. And I remember walking into the schoolyard, 600 children were like, oh my God, Annie, Annie. And I thought it was fun, but still, it was like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. So there was so much attention. And then right after that, I went into middle school, and sort of, the applause went a bit away. I didn't get that much attention anymore. Now I was supposed to be sexy and cool and be inside, the gang, and be with the coolest girls and boys. And my singing voice didn't mean that much anymore. And then I started emotional eating. So I cultivated eating disorder like bulimia, and also this other disorder where you like eat a lot and then you diet and then you eat a lot. So I was jumping up and down like a JoJo. um, and so I tried to hide this for people. And as a teenager, you're a teenager or child, you're not really aware of what's going on. You're of your feelings, because if you don't have parents or people around you who are explaining to you that, hey, you might be feeling this right now, or you might be going through that right now. Like, those around me didn't have that awareness of what it's like to be a child star, and then all of a sudden you're going to be a teenager, and yeah, that transition. Then you cope with it yourself. So I started just eating, but then I sort of just hid this, and I went into my uh, adulthood. And when I was 20 years old, I landed this great role again as Rizzo in Greece. Again, I got a lot of attention, and things were going so well, got huge success. But inside of me, I felt pretty hollow. I wasn't in touch with myself. I had a boyfriend, and on the outside, it looked so perfect. And then I got another part, like the main character in Little Shop of Horrors,
Oh,
like a
wow.
huge part, yeah, on one of the biggest musical theater stages in Oslo. And then I just started getting hoarser and hoarser, and I couldn't hit the high notes. And I went to like a speech therapist and a speech doctor. And he told me that I had nodules on my voice and that I couldn't sing and couldn't speak for a long, long time.
Wow.
And
Wow. I'm sorry. I've heard the story before, but I'm taking it in. I mean, imagine you being on the top, I would say, the peak of your career.
I
And
was,
then you get this message. What did
yeah.
that do with you?
Yeah. I was just interviewed by the Human Aspect. It is another show, and I really went into the emotions. Somehow, the interviewer got me to that place again, and it felt like dying. Like it felt that all my dreams were crushed because I realized there and then that obviously I had to give the part away, but I realized that right now I have no future. I have no future because ever since I was 7 years old, I have been told that I'm going to become something great on West End or Broadway. And not just everybody else have told me, I have decided that myself that that was my purpose in life. That's what I'm supposed to do. This is my gift as a singer. God or the universe wants this. Everybody wants this. Everybody knows this. This is my identity. And even subjects in school, I took English, everything was gearing towards me going to West and then become a great musical theater artist. Because why wouldn't I? Well, I was the child star in Norway. Of course, I would, become that great musical theater artist on Broadway or whatever. And then when I realized my voice is gone and I'm never able to sing like I did before, because the doctor said, you can have surgery, but it might be a bit broken. Then I didn't have any will to live. I felt so shameful, and shame is one of the most lowest vibrational feelings there are. I felt in a way that it was my fault, that I hadn't taken care of that gift that the universe had given me, and that I was to blame. And now I was nothing. Now I wasn't worth anything. I was basically an ant that you could just step on, because I felt that about myself. I have no value. I have no place in this world. I myself thought I didn't have a place in this world. And my boyfriend left me. I cultivated anxiety to speak because I was so afraid if I just talked a bit, oh, now I will lose it again. So I couldn't speak and I fell into depression. So it was breakup, depression, losing my job, and anxiety at the same time. It was really, really dark. And I think I didn't have a support system that really understood or knew what they could do. So it lasted several years, and it also came back uh, like twice. So I was severely depressed, but fortunately, I've had, a family that I love very much and that loved me. They were just feeling the hopelessness because they had no idea what to do. No idea. I don't think they knew much about mental health at all. And psychiatrists and psychologists really didn't help. It didn't help me. But what actually helped me was metaphysics and spirituality. Because in spirituality, I realized there was something that was called self love. And I realized that there was a difference between self esteem and self confidence. And that what I had was a lot of self confidence, standing on stage and singing and believing I was somebody, but I didn't have any self esteem. So if you took away the voice, I was nothing. I didn't have an identity at all because I thought that was all I was. I was supposed to please everybody else with my singing voice. Um, so I watched a lot of.
May I ask you a question? I just wonder, how did you find spirituality? Was it something that you just discovered, or was it something that you've always known about, or how did it end up in your life?
I think I've always been open to spirituality, so I started going to psychics and stuff like that. And I think through that, I got some tips that, there is this education that you can take, and then there is, you check out this and check out that. Because, yeah, I've always been open to that there's something more. So going to psychics was for me uh, a scream of help. So if they could see a future, you know, then there was a future. And I don't know if they told me the truth, but they said many beautiful things are going to come to you, and then I I that gave me hope. But obviously, I needed to do the work. Your soul always wants you to do the work, so maybe spirit was, gearing me towards Oprah Winfrey and spiritual teachers who spoke about that you have a power inside. And I remember I was like, me having a power? Like that was so foreign. Like Oprah having a power, you're having a power. I get that. But me, like having a power. But I listened to it and, slowly but surely it started to move me. And I was like, maybe I do have some sort of power. So I really built stone by stone by understanding that, okay, I need to love myself. So, is there something positive with me if we strip away the voice and the performance and my nice blonde hair and that stuff that I'm so cute and everything? What is good with me? So, I really started there, and I went out in nature and I started jogging because I've always loved to jog, but it was actually my ego that was desperate to be thin. 'Cause after an eating disorder, I was so afraid that, okay, I'm going to be depressed and fat. No, that's not, I can't sustain that. So I needed to jog. But that helped me actually to, set in motion chemicals and endorphins and oxytocin and stuff like that. So the exercise part is really crucial and it helps a lot. And then it was nature. So I ran out in the woods and I just sat down on a bench every day because I was on a sick leave. Like there was nothing to do. My friends were off with their great careers, having children, having great men and boyfriends. And I was just sitting on a bench looking at the ocean. And I remember that it was this moment where the sun was shining on my cheek. And I remember, well, that felt nice. Okay. So if that felt nice, that means that I must care for myself a little bit. And that was an
Wow,
aha
that's
for me.
powerful. That's powerful. Just that being in nature and just being present, because you were present in that moment and you felt it. And
Yeah.
it's like your spirit spoke to you. It's just beautiful to, and then you awaken sort of to that inner voice and your inner
Yeah.
kindness.
I woke up to a self compassion of that. Oh, I do care a bit about myself. There is a part that cares. And if that part exists, then I can expand that part. So that's where it started with, okay, I can love parts of me. And I think, I mean, it was a long process. And then I studied metaphysics. I started to study more about spirituality. And that gave me an explanation that nothing happens in vain and that everybody is valuable, including me. That started to dawn on me, and that there might be a deeper reason why you lost your voice. And by changing those perspectives, that gave me a bit more worthiness, and I felt more valuable, and I started respecting myself more. So for me, it was a lot of, like, the healing came a lot through how I was looking at life. My perspective on life completely changed. And with that, because I believe we do have self-love inside, that yes, we need to heal and all that stuff, but it's also a matter of opening up to that self-love that is already there and has always been there. Because when we are born, we are born with full self-love and joy. Is really life that has, accumulated a lot of stress and negative thoughts and beliefs about ourselves that are hiding that access. But when we start to access it again, it is there. So I think that's what I started to do. And then after years of this sick leave, depression, things started to move a bit in the right direction.
So, would you say that when you were discovering self love and you were following that journey, that that gave you a form of purpose? Where did purpose come in? What gave you
Yeah.
purpose in that time period of your life?
Purpose came later. I think I first needed to have that awakening, that spiritual awakening that, hey, it's not about status. It's not about the external things. You got it all the way wrong. It's the other way around. So I needed to have that wisdom and to grow and expand, to be in place. And then I was like, okay, so what is my purpose? Am I going to continue with theater or not? And I actually landed a role, like a big role in a soap opera on TV a few years later. And then I remember I also had an aha moment that, okay, so now I'm walking on red carpets. Does that red carpet mean that I'm more valuable? And if I pull that carpet away, I'm not valuable anymore. Like it became so absurd to me and so clear that no, all these things that all these television shows and all the focus on all the celebrities, it's so empty. It's so empty. It doesn't mean anything. And from there, after that show, I was like, okay, so what am I going to do? I feel like I've been in the theater world for a long time. Maybe I'm done with it. Like, I know my voice is not strong enough to really continue. I could continue as an actor, but I don't feel like I'm succeeding in it. Maybe it's not my path. So I was a bit like trying to find my way. I started to study to become a primary teacher, studied for 4 years and got my education. But in the midst of that, I remember that I wasn't inspired to become a primary teacher. It just felt so wrong. And I'm saying this to you watching now. If you feel that the path is wrong, it probably is. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, test it out, because I finished my studies and I'm very happy about that. But I felt deep down that I'm not going to become a primary teacher. But I want to finish what I started, but I'm not going to continue.
May I say something to that? That's the commitment I admire about you. You commit yourself to something and you fulfill it. And to me, that's very, very inspiring. I think that gives you new insight, new perspectives, and a more clear vision on how you can move forward. So, applause to you. I mean,
Thank you. Well, I think it was because I've started and stopped and started and stopped a lot of things in my life. So when I started that education, I was like, okay, I'm going to finish it no matter what. But at that time, I had cultivated an amount of self love, so much self love, that I realized that I should listen to that inner voice. And I felt that there is something else. I just don't know what it is. And when my path has been so clear, like with the musical theater, and then I lost my voice, well, then there's got to be something else. Like the universe is brilliant. There is something else. And how that came about is so beautiful and crazy and intelligent. And I'm just so blown away by the universe, because I was sitting at a cafe with my father 1 year after I started to study. And I said to him, I'm not inspired to become a primary teacher. What I actually want to do, and I just threw it out there, is to travel around and interview spiritual teachers about the big questions of life on YouTube. And then I was like, but that's it. Like, that's it.
so it was like a channeled from your soul. It just came
It
through a
just came.
conversation. Yeah.
I was just
Beautiful.
on a bench, like, Dad, that's it. And he was like, what is going on? And I just knew. And I think if this was 10 years ago, I wouldn't have understood that this was a calling, because then I would have been like, oh, you think you are somebody. Oh, I would have just destroyed the whole thing with my bad thoughts about myself. But here, I understood that you've been going through a lot. When you get a message like that, that is something from a deeper place in you. So I ran into the woods, pulled my, sneakers on, and the name Wisdom from North just came into my thoughts the first jogging trip. And I realized, hey, I've been on camera. I've been to America. I can speak English. There were so many things that were like, I can do this. I can be a great interviewer. I love spirituality. I, yeah, I have the skills. Like I just knew. And in 1 week, it was so funny. I landed two like small, like commercial theater jobs or TV show jobs that got me the money to buy a camera and to build a website. I got $5,000 in 1 week. When does that happen? That
It's,
doesn't
I
happen to
love
me.
it. I love it when the universe just brings it to you, when you're there and you're listening and you're in line, and oh, wow, I love it.
Yeah. And I'm a typical person who have said all my life, nothing good happens to me. But it happened, and these signs were so clear. And after that, I started, interviewing great spiritual teachers like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Teal Swan, Byron Katie, Lorna Byrne, Dr. Eben Alexander, Moji, and great Norwegian teachers as well. And the YouTube channel grew. And today I have around 400 interviews there or something like that. And it has been like a long journey to where we are today, because for a long time I was doing these interviews and not really knowing, so how am I going to live from this? But I was really driven by my curiosity and my joy for it. And I was also studying, next to it. And I was doing some theater, and I did a lot of things at the same time. But it wasn't until I was done with my studies to become a primary teacher that I started focusing more on Wisdom from North. And then last year I quit my day job, or part-time job, and I went full in Wisdom from North. And today we have a membership, and we do online courses, and of course I still do the YouTube videos that I love to do.
Where it all started. I mean, that's passionate. That's the passion of it. Um, my question is, when you quit your job last year, so you put in all the effort, you followed your heart and soul, you've done the work, you're still doing the work because you're a soul on a spiritual quest here on Mother Earth, so you'll always do the work. But what made you say that the time is now? I mean, many people stand in their life and they say, I've committed to this for a while, but when is the time right? Because it's never really right, is it? It's just, how did you know that this is the time?
I would love to be a role model now and just come with a brilliant question that when is right. And I did this at the exact perfect moment. But the truth is another. The truth is actually that I should have done that a long time ago. And it was actually a man that came into my life, my ex, that pushed me to do it. He was an entrepreneur himself, and he really encouraged me to do it. And I guess I was ready, and he gave me the confidence, and I just jumped into it. And it was interesting because we ended the relationship pretty quickly after that. So I feel like he came into my life to like push me with my career and teach me a lot of stuff, and then he disappeared. But yeah, I think I could have done it earlier, but for me it was important to feel safe. And some of us are, or some of you guys are similar like me, that you really need to know that, okay, I have a safe job now that I can trust. This is going well. Otherwise, I will become too stressed in my life. And that is okay. I really think it's okay that you wait a bit longer if you are maybe a person like me who needs to feel secure and stuff like that. But if you're more of a person that is like, I love to take risks, and you feel like, okay, it's a bit bold, but I'm ready, then do it sooner. I think it's really individual. And I don't think we should listen to others that say, do it, do it. You need to be ready yourself. with me, I was overdue. Like, we had been having a business that had been running well for 3 years. So it was just, I was holding on to my part time job because I was afraid maybe I'll get lonely, all these things. Maybe what if this happens? What if that happens? But it feels incredibly empowering to take that step. And also, I think I do trust something deeper, even though I trust more the universe, I gotta say, than my ability to run a business, because I don't know how to run a business. I don't
I find it
know.
strange you're saying that after running a successful business for so many years, even though not full time, but you're still running a successful business. You transformed so many people's lives. You've helped so many people by just sharing your passion and following your purpose. And I'm thinking that you saying that you're not looking at yourself as a successful human being, your humbleness, I guess, you could also say that if you're honest with yourself, wouldn't you say that you're you're shining within what's your passion? And to me, that is serving and being successful and running a successful business.
Oh yeah, I see that I'm running a successful business. So I am, and I am acknowledging that I am successful, and I see that, in just the lifestyle I have now that I didn't have before, and beautiful apartment I live in, and all that. But what I mean is that I don't know how to do business. I've never been taught how to create a company, how to have employees, how to be a leader, but I've been running it in a feminine way, solely on intuition and solely on joy and being guided. And I think that's the new way of doing it. Like, I am collaborating with teachers that I feel I want to collaborate with. I get an idea. I'm like, I want to collaborate with that teacher. Let's do a webinar. We're not like, oh, we're going to do that many webinars. We're not structured like that. Of course, we have some structure. I'm not saying that. But it's a lot of intuition. It's a lot of seeing what works and learning what we need to learn there and then. And of course, through all these years, I've learned a lot. We know how to, do things, but I'm saying it, I guess, because I want to encourage other people who stop themselves by the thought that I don't know how to do this. So the how will come to you. You just start making those steps, taking those steps, and you learn what you need to learn in that step that you're in. And you're open to guidance and move towards what's joy, what feels joyful, what fulfills you. And spirit and your heart will guide you all the way. I really believe that. That's a very feminine way of working. Of course, it's good with intentions and also some goals, but also be open to be guided, and you'll be guided to what you need to learn as well. So yeah, so that's what I meant with I don't know what I'm
Yes,
doing.
I love that you said that. Learning skill sets, I guess, is part of being on a spiritual journey and exploring and following your heart and soul. You figure out that you need some skill sets to actually manifest what your heart and soul desire. And so we go about to learn these skill sets, just like me. I mean, I didn't know how to do all this video recording, but I wanted to bring Spiritual Quest into a new era, not only audio, but video. So I said, well, I'll learn it. How hard can it be? I mean, as long as you have that passion and drive, you will figure it out. And look at you, you figured it out. And here we are. And we're just continuing listening and tuning and sharing and just being intuitive human beings. And that's, I think, is the future. People, like you said, that's the new way of leading or being a transformational mentor, if you wish.
And you asked about purpose, and I didn't get to that. So it is now the latest years that my purpose has become really clear to me. And that is connected to what I was struggling with. So I do webinars about this, and then I talk about that where you have your greatest challenges is where you have your greatest strengths. So I lost my voice in order to find my voice. I lacked self love, and now I'm very passionate about teaching others how they can love themselves, sharing what I did. There are many methods, many things you can do, there are many ways to roam. And I'm sharing a lot of that in my membership and webinars and events. And also, purpose that grows out of often what you have been struggling with, because that is what you know about. You know something about that. You cannot teach something you don't know about. And I know something about purpose as well. So that's why I'm passionate about it, because I finally found my purpose. But a purpose a purpose is not like set in stone. It is something that is it can shape form. It can become, you can have sub purposes. It can change, because when you step into more your purpose, you also step into a higher potential, and a new purpose comes out of that again. But yes, I think there is a blueprint and a purpose for us all. And the thing is that your purpose is out of your comfort zone. It's not in the heavy emotions like shame and guilt and apathy and depression. I needed that in order to move into my purpose, but I can't find it there. I needed to learn a lot of things before I could move into my purpose. So, all these challenges led me to my purpose. But your purpose is outside your comfort zone because it is a stretch. And the reason for this, from my perspective, is that your soul wants you to expand, to grow, to become much more than you are already, to realize actually that you are so much more than you think. It's actually not to become something more, because you are big and huge already, but we're not seeing that. We're playing very small, and your soul wants you to step into what you truly are and stop denying your truth. Because most of us are doing or living or expressing ourselves not in full truth. We're not being who we are. We're not expressing our truth. We're not having boundaries. We're letting ourselves be treated poorly, many women especially. Maybe we're in the wrong relationship, in the wrong job, but we don't dare to really ask for a raise or ask, to do something we really love or leave the job. And we're lying to ourselves a lot. And then we're ignoring, and I'm exaggerating a little bit just to make an example. We're ignoring our signs from our bodies that are maybe saying, hey, I'm in the wrong relationship. But the mind is like picking up it very late after the body. Or you get a lot of signs from nature. We can read signs in nature, like the animals we see, numbers we see, or people are constantly saying something to you. You're so good at that. You're so good at that. But you're not taking it in. Like life is speaking to us all the time. And it wants you to wake up. But if we're not waking up and we keep suppressing our truth, then the energy will start to move inwards and start to become destructive. And it can become a depression like I experienced, because I wasn't true at all to myself, right? Not at all. I wasn't home. And it can become like your spouse leaves you, you lose your job, we can become ill even. There's so many people who have fatigue who come to my membership, and I think that's a lot about suppressing truth and who they are. So our soul wants us to wake up, and they knock on the door until we start, whoa, okay, I need to go inside, I need to make some changes. But I don't think we all have to really go into that amount of darkness in order to wake up. That is actually my message, that if you feel right now that you're in the wrong place, there's something that's missing, that's because there is. And your soul is calling for you. And please wake up now before your soul will start to knock harder. And the thing is, when you hold back on your purpose and what you're meant to be doing, and it's not just doing, it's also being. Your purpose is being who you are, telling your truth. You are not doing a service to the world, because you have some unique gifts that you're supposed to come with and help the ascension process, many calls it, or the awakening. If you're holding back on that, we miss that. Like, we need that on the planet. You are supposed to do your part, and I'm supposed to do my part. And that's where we bring, raise awareness on the planet and raise the vibration. But if we're holding back, we're not doing any benefit to the whole. So a purpose is both for to be of service to the planet, because we're all one, and it's also for you to live your highest potential and a higher vibration than you are already. And we can always expand. There's never like a limit to growth.
I love that. Not a limit to growth. That's beautiful. Would you please give us, if you have your tips, your best tips for the people listening right now? What is your go-to spiritual practice when you feel out of alignment and you want to tune into your soul to connect with that purpose? Do you have a practice that you could share?
I have tons of tools and practices actually, and especially in my membership, I learned so many from my teachers that I work with and things that I worked for myself. And it really depends what you want to achieve. Is it silence? Is it answers to some questions? Is it? Yeah, it really depends. Is it to have a better flow between the two brains? It really, yeah, depends on if you want to love yourself more. What is sort of, yeah, if you can be more specific, I can try
Sure.
to
I
answer.
wanted to give you that opportunity to choose what you use at this moment. But let's go for finding stillness, because within stillness you can hear your soul and you can hear your soul's calling. And you can allow yourself to be guided by spirit, and you can use your intuition. You listen to your soul in a more profound way when you find stillness. So let's go with that.
Well, with stillness, for me, it is meditation and nature. Meditation for some can feel like it's not stillness at all because it is so much noise. You hear your inner voice, or not your inner deep soul voice, but you hear your ego voice. So at the beginning, if you're new to meditation, and you find it hard to meditate, I would recommend to listen to some guided meditation with some beautiful music. That's what I started with, and that really helped me come to the stillness, because then I didn't hear my ego voice. I heard this beautiful music, and then I more easily connected. And also nature, because nature has a high vibration and it helps you come into present moment. And just staring at the water, that gives me the most silent yeah feeling ever, actually.
So finding stillness for you is, practicing going in to meditate and to find that stillness and to open yourself to your spirit, to guidance, and then listening or using the water, the element of water, to assist you in bringing stillness to you.
Yeah, that is me. Yeah, yeah. But stillness is one thing. Well, you asked about my practice. For me, I'm more now about the next level of self love. So what I'm actually practicing now is boundaries,
Oh, I
and
like that.
it is listening. Yeah, so it's more like an active practice I'm in right now, and it's more what do I need, and I'm in the process of looking into different parts of myself, parts that are very old, that do not believe they are valuable, and that wiser part of me that knows better, because I still have remnants, of my old self and my inner child, that some of the parts haven't been healed and stuff like that. So in situations that comes up, I am practicing really being in that wiser part of me, that hey, this is good for me, and this is not good for me, so let's listen to the wiser part of me. So yeah, that is a practice I'm in. I feel I've come very far. But speaking of that relationship I was in, that wasn't a healthy relationship, and I understand that I attracted that on some level. So in my life, I've been successful in my job, and I have everything I need physically. I have a lot of friends and all that. But in love, I felt like there has been like a missing link, So that's where I'm now looking at. So why wasn't I having great boundaries in that relationship? And it lasted very quickly, so I got out of it pretty quickly, but still I attracted that for a reason. So, in order not to attract that again and attract a more healthy relationship, that's what I'm looking at right now. And that is deep work. That is deep, deep work, but very, very rewarding.
I love that you're saying that you're working on the boundaries because I find also that I have to keep working on boundaries. I think when you're, at least for me, when you're open and sensitive and want and you practice self-love, but also giving love in, because that's the thing you do. I mean, you share your love. And when you're that vulnerable, some energies are not understanding or how do you say it, not in line with your boundaries, to be honest. And they can be close people. I mean, they can be family members for that matter. So I usually do this. I have this technique that I tell myself every time I figure out that, when I need to put boundaries, I question myself. I said, you have two choices, Vibeke. You only got two choices. You can choose fear or you can choose love. That's it. So what do I fear by not setting the boundaries? So I go, oh, I always choose love. I promise myself I will always choose love, and I'll go with love. And the boundaries come so easy to me, just poof, they're there, right there. So I've been training myself to do that. Fear or love, that's it. No question, just those two. What do you choose? I'm kind of hard with myself, like you understand. We're all different, but that helps me actually to set my boundaries.
Yeah, and you mentioned something important. It is, if you are an empath like we are, and a sensitive and stuff like that, we have a lot of light, and the darkness is drawn towards the light. So they want the light, right? And the light wants to help the darkness, but you can lose yourself in that. So what I needed to understand was that I can't save him. And I need to take care of me, and I need to value myself more than him, because I will just go be drowned in that darkness if I continue. And that was difficult because I felt like, but everybody can be saved and everybody can be transformed. He was going through a tough time though, but it got so hard that I needed to value myself, and respect myself and leave the relationship, even though I loved him so much, so much. It wasn't healthy for me. And making that right decision for you, even though it's the last thing you want to do and it is the hardest thing to do, it's the right thing to do for yourself, because you are then saying yes to yourself instead of no. So that was a tough lesson for me, to learn, because to me, in my mind, when I love somebody, I love them, right? Then I should stay there. But no, that's not love towards me. So we always need to choose ourselves. Um, our souls gives us difficult lessons sometimes, that where you are the most vulnerable, you get the lessons, but that's where you get the biggest growth as well, and the biggest rewards, I think.
And it's wonderful to know that you actually created Wisdom from North with all those spiritual practices and tools and techniques where people who's going through this and maybe feeling alone don't have to do this by themselves. They can be part of a community, an understanding and empathic community who is practicing the same things and sharing self-love and sharing their stories. Would you please tell us a little bit about Wisdom from North and how people can learn more about
Yeah.
it?
I'd love to. It is my passion. Wisdom from North membership. We created that 3 years ago. And I realized that, hey, I know so many amazing teachers, but I feel like my interviews is not transforming people's lives. So why don't I invite the best teachers I've found and feel like are the most, beautiful and humble and wise and deep? Why don't I invite them to teach on my platform? And that's what I did. So I gathered a lot of teachers who give master classes to the members within spiritual topics and personal development. So we cover so many topics. You can look at it like a spiritual Netflix. Like you come in there and it's like this goodie bag with so much wisdom and inspiration and tools. Like we have tons of meditations, guided meditations within all sorts of topics, like how to attract love, like great love, how to create more abundance, how to connect with angels, how to connect with your heart, open your heart, forgiveness, so many meditations that you can do on a regular basis. So the thought is that you don't need to go elsewhere to find teaching. You can find it all here on the platform. And also we have a beautiful community of like-minded people from especially Norway and also around the world, and amazing teachers such as yourself, Vibeke. You have a masterclass there.
I'm so
uh,
blessed to have been asked. I love it, and I can vouch for it and say there's some amazing teachers there, and that's inspired me, like you also, Jannecke. So yes, some you should check it out anyway, just to see what amazing. And I think you have some free stuff as well, don't you, Jannecke, that people can listen to and to
oh,
to to
you mean like on Wisdom from North in general,
yeah,
or?
or that you can on the website where people can get a feel for the
Yeah,
energy
yeah,
of it to see if it's
yeah.
a fit.
Yeah, we do. We have tons of free stuff, and we're also we have some Norwegian webinars, and we're also in the process of making an English one. And but yeah, it's we have some teasers, and it's really an opportunity to also just test it out. You know, it's a monthly fee. If it wasn't for you, you can always jump out, and you get access to. I think right now it's 40 plus masterclasses that all of them has a value of at least $100, and so it's so much value in there, and you can jump in just a month if you want and watch a bunch of classes and then leave again. That's really up to you, but I feel like you get the greatest growth if you stay there over a period of time, because growth does take some time. Practice, we need to practice in order to have some growth, right? So in order to have some development. And what's really beautiful is that we have so many different topics, so you can dive into whatever you feel like, or you can follow the master classes that comes every month, because one every month we have one new masterclass, and then we tend to focus on that class that month. And then we also have Q&A with the teacher, so you can show up and ask directly questions to the teacher. And that is really popular because we have so many questions, right? After seeing a class, or maybe we need help with something we are in the midst of in life, and then having access to wonderful, wise, deep teachers, that is pretty amazing. And that is very popular as well in the membership. So I really think we have created something beautiful and something really unique. And I'm just blown away that we get so many amazing teachers. We just booked, Dr. Sue Morter, who I've been following for years. And all these classes are exclusive as well. So all these amazing teachers from all over the world are making classes for us. Like, from Jannecke for Wisdom from Northern Norway. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's beautiful. I think it's such an inspiring story that when you follow your soul's calling, and that's what I admire about you, Jannecke. You're courageous, you're strong, and you're committed. And you just follow your heart and soul, and you allow the guidance of spirit. And that's when these beautiful things unfold. So I just want to
Right.
thank you for sharing. Thank
Well,
you so
thank
much
you.
for sharing and being here and sharing your inspiring story with us. I really, truly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I think I don't know how else to live, if you know what I mean. Like, to me, there had to be a deeper purpose with my life. Otherwise, nothing would make sense at all. So I need to listen because I know there's a deeper reason. And I believe that that's the case for everybody else. However, not everybody is supposed to create a membership and a spiritual membership, or be a spiritual teacher. But there are other things that you might feel that you're meant to be doing or expressing, or be more true to. And maybe spirituality is something that you're just curious about and you have another job, and that's great, but just be honest and true to yourself. We all have different purposes. We're all supposed to, be part of this great picture. We're not supposed to do the same, but there is a specific purpose for you. So see if you can open up to what that is. And you'll find that in your heart. And you'll find that when you start to feel joy, or when you feel joy, you are on the right path.
Thank you again, Jannecke, for the good advice and your heartfelt message. I've said it so many times, I'm repeating myself, but you're an inspiration. I'm saying it one more time. Anyway, thank you for being here with us. And I just want to say, if you want to learn more about Wisdom from North and explore spiritual practices and tools and techniques that will help you take your power back, then you can just click the link in the episode summary. So thank you again, Jannecke, for joining us. I wish you all
thank you. I love your work. I just have to say that.
Thank you, Jannecke, for being here and sharing your inspirational story with us. If you want to learn more about Wisdom from North and explore spiritual practices, tools, and techniques that will help you take your power back, then just click the link in the episode summary. And don't forget to join the conversation by signing up for the Spiritual Quest podcast newsflash, where you'll have the opportunity to submit questions for my guests and join live events to receive guidance from Spirit. You'll find the link in the episode summary. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to share my soul purpose with you. I hope you enjoyed listening to Spiritual Quest with me, your host, Jannecke Øinæs. And if you did, I would really appreciate if you would share it with the world. I'm sending you lots of love and light from me, your host, Jannecke Øinæs, always guided by Spirit.